The fundamental update for 7th of December 2025. Welcome once again to another weekend update. And if you're following the channel, you know I drop fundamental updates every single weekend, which will prepare you for the week and help you understand what is happening in the fundamental aspects of trading and how you can use this to make profit finding your technical entries. So before we go over to the fundamental update for this week, you know I always talk about what happened previous week, right? And I want to let you all know that previous week was a win week for the team in the academy, right? A lot of us passed profit challenges with the fundamentals I gave. A lot of us were able to make profit from the market due to the fact that everything I said last week played out perfectly the way I said it. That is the way it happened. I was saying that dollar is going to be bearish and dollar sold massively. I said JPY is going to be bullish and JPY showed a little bit of strength. You understand? A lot of my students made good profit from the market. Wins, and it's December period. We know how December price action can be, but we are still winning regardless. I myself, I took a lot of trade based on what I predicted last week. So first of all, let us go back to the news outcome of last week and see how it played out. So on Monday, the first thing we had was the JPY BOJ government speech. So I want to let you all know that this government speech came out in a kind of way in which the government was saying that he's going to support the bullish movement of Japanese yen. Why? Because the government is seeing possibility of a rate hike. You understand? The same possibility of a rate hike due to the fact that inflation in the Japanese yen is increasing, and this is going to make investors put their money more in this particular currency. Why? Because an increase on interest rate is going to make it a good currency for investment for the investors. So this is going to make the currency bullish. By now you should know all this. If you've been following my channel for quite a long time, you should know this. For those who are newly watching my videos, just pay close attention. I explain almost every concept that I mention as we move on with the fundamentals. So Japanese yen is seeing a possibility of a rate hike. What does this mean? It means the currency would increase in value. Rate hike makes investors interested in the currency, and they put their money in that currency, so the currency will be bullish for the short term. So the government are willing to push the currency upward, because while the currency has been seeing a little bit of weakness for months now, just the fact that the new Senate president entered seat, and that new Senate president, she's against rate hike, but all of a sudden she had to agree. Why? Because inflation is rising drastically and the economy is seeing a little bit of improvement. You understand? So that was why I was like, oh, JPY is surely going to be bullish, and I even gave it out during the weekend before this Monday news was released. So USD, we had the ISM manufacturing PMI. Now this is not really an important news, even though it's a red folder, but at least it gives a bias, it gives a clearer bias to why dollar is weak. Now the ISM manufacturing PMI just simply tells you what is happening in the manufacturing sectors, right? The service sectors. You understand? So just like your the services you receive, just like when you go to a hospital, the services you receive, just like when you want to buy something from companies, the services you receive. This manufacturing PMI just simply tells you what is going on, and if the value comes out 50 and above, it means the economy is doing well. But you can see the value came out 48.2, which is lower than 50, which means the economy is doing poorly, and this is why dollar showed bearish strength. This is one of the reasons why dollar showed bearish strength in last week price action movement. So we also had a lot of news coming out on GBP, coming out on AUD. I'll just focus on the currency in which I usually read the fundamental update for. AUD, we saw a little bit of drop in the GDP just stands for gross domestic index. We saw a little bit of drop in the GDP, which means that AUD economy is a little bit at the downside, but this doesn't mean AUD was weak. AUD still gained bullish strength. Why? Because over time AUD has been showing strength in the economy. Inflation has been rising, everything has been doing perfectly fine. Do you understand? So on CHF, we saw CPI coming out lower. USD ADP non-farm employment change. Now I've told you all that whenever you see ADP non-farm employment change, this is simply telling you the employment rate in the private sector of businesses, and it came out lower than expected. This gave dollar more weakness. Do you understand? This gave dollar more weakness. So another important news we were expecting was on Friday, which was the core PCE, and it came out neutral. So everything was against dollar bullishness, and everything was saying dollar is going to be weak, and that was why dollar came out weak last week. We can see this was all the move that happened, and you can see all the bearish strength that followed this move all the way from this top. So that is it for dollar. How did I make profit from this trade? Oh, I took a trade on USD CHF, a very beautiful trade. Let's go back to the 1 hour time frame and see how it played out. This was the trade, and this was my zone. I bought at this zone and I caught up to 80 pips. Surprisingly, I took profit here and the market started reversing. You understand? Very beautiful trade. I gave this out to the signal channel and we made good profit in the team. My students too took a lot of trade on USD bearishness, Euro USD bulls, because dollar is the quoted currency and Euro is the base currency, which means Euro USD is going to be bullish. And that was simply how I made money from this pair, using fundamentals and using technicals for my entry. Also, you all know I held USD CHF on a swing trade for 100 pips, 110 pips. This is a very beautiful entry, and the market went all the way down, hitting my TP, and it still kept on going down, but we are seeing a little bit of reversal. You understand? For the JPY pairs, I was actually looking for an entry on JPY, but I didn't really see any. USD JPY played very perfectly well, supporting the JPY strength. So USD JPY sold because JPY was supposed to be strong. So USD JPY sold. Understand? Now, a lot of you saw the CAD JPY bullish move that happened last week. I will explain what happened. But first of all, this was all on Friday. This bullish move you see here was all on Friday. CAD JPY still sold during the week, right? And a lot of my students made profit from it. It sold all the way from the top, all the way from the top here. It sold all the way from the top here, all the way down to this level. So, and a lot of my students made profit from it, taking their profits at this particular level. We know why we took profit at this level. I train my students to understand things perfectly. You understand? So after the markets got to this level, we had a massive reversal on Friday, and I've updated the lesson to why Fridays are usually like this. You understand? For my students as well. So you can see this massive move that happened on Friday. What happened? CAD actually gained a lot of strength. The pair is CAD JPY, right? CAD gained a lot of strength, which showed bullish momentum on CAD JPY. Why? Because let us go back to the news data and see why this happened. You can see we had CAD employment change on Friday, and this came out 53.6k, which is far more higher than the forecast. Which means employment rate is drastically positive in the economy, and this made the CAD JPY give a very, very bullish move to the top. A lot of you must have been confused, but this is simply fundamentals. You understand? That doesn't mean JPY is weak. It means CAD is just stronger. This is why you don't trade two currencies that have the same fundamental strength. For example, CAD is strong, JPY is strong. We don't know which one the market is going to respect. This is why it's good to stay out. I also made that same mistake on AUD JPY. I was looking for a sell, but AUD JPY kept on buying. Why? Because AUD is strong and JPY is strong. So AUD and JPY being strong is called a convergence. Convergence is simply when fundamentally two currencies are showing the same strength or the same weakness. If AUD is weak and JPY is weak, is a convergence. If AUD is strong and JPY is strong, is a convergence, and you shouldn't be trading those type of trade fundamentally. Do you understand? So you can see I was looking for a sell entry, but the market kept on going up. Why? Because AUD is strong, JPY is strong. The only pair that respected the JPY strength was the USD JPY. Why? Because the USD was weak and JPY was strong. You can see if you sold from this key level over here, you would have made good profit for the week and ended here on Friday, which now made the market to start reversing after the Friday news. That doesn't mean JPY could start buying. No, I still feel like JPY is still weak, and we will still get the fundamental update for next week. So what else happened? Let us look at the AUD. I told you that AUD gained strength. AUD, they are expecting a rate hike, but not this year. This year has already ended. This December, it's going to be next year. But due to this, AUD economy is picking up. AUD is seeing strength. So AUD USD is bullish, purely bullish. You can see very massively bullish. Why? Because AUD is strong and USD is weak. So what am I expecting? Maybe if market should retrace all the way back down here, I should be looking for an entry. You understand? But for now, the market has left us without any sign of a reversal. Euro AUD 2 is selling massively. Why? Because AUD is strong, economy is picking up well, they are seeing chances of a rate hike. You understand? Everything is looking purely positive. Do you get my point? So that is just simply it. If the market should reverse, you can find entries, but for now AUD is still showing a little bit of strength. So let's go over to this week fundamentals and see what we have this week. So now the most important thing I want you all to understand, that this week the theme is going to be on Fed rate decisions. Why? Because USD are having their final rate decision for the year. Do you understand? The final rate decision for the year, and this is going to make dollar very, very, volatile. Why is this happening? Why? Because we are seeing a possibility of a rate cut, which means dollar is already weak. But I told you all, when a news is being rumored, the news have already started pricing in. So on the day of this news release, the market might actually be bullish on dollar. Why? Because the market has already priced in. It's like buy the rumor, sell the fact. Do you understand? So that is just simply it. If the market, this is the Wednesday market theme, which is the Fed rate cut, that is the market theme for this week. Every eye is going to be on Fed rate decisions and also the FOMC statement. Now, the FOMC statement is what might actually make dollar positive, because after the rate cut, the Feds might say they don't see any reason for any possible rate cut again till next year. This might make dollar bullish for a short term. So that is why in fundamentals, you don't trade on the day of the news release, you trade before the news release. So on Monday, we're not really having any important news. On Tuesday, we're having the RBA rate statement, which is the AUD, and also this is very, very important because it's going to make AUD either bullish or bearish. I feel it's going to make AUD bullish because it's coming out neutral, so we're not really expecting much. I'm not really going to trade this. I'm not really a fan of neutral news, you understand? I'm not really a fan, so I'm not really focusing on that. We also have the JPY BOJ speech, which is very important as well. We want to see what the government will still say about JPY. If you say JPY is still strong, I will give the updates in my Telegram channel and my WhatsApp status. For those who don't have that, make sure to check the YouTube description of my channel and you get the links to all my social media handles. Do you understand? So that is just simply it for JPY. JPY looks like it's going to keep being bullish, which means USD JPY might actually keep selling. For CAD JPY, I'm not sure because those currencies, like I said, are convergence. AUD JPY too are convergence. Euro JPY, possibility of a sell because Euro is weak and JPY is strong. You understand? So possibility of a sell. So that's another important news that is going to be happening. Another important news in which will take place. All these red folders are not really important, but the one in which you focus on. Also, if you're looking at CAD as your currency, you should also be aware of the rate statement on CAD, which is on Wednesday. You understand? Rate statement is going to make the currency a little bit more bullish. Do you get? So that's just simply it. So the most important one is on Wednesday 8 p.m., which is the federal fund rate, which is going to give us a rate cut, another rate cut, 25 basic points rate cut, right? So you can see 25% basic cut, basic points rate cut, which is going to make dollar weak based on rumors. But on that day, dollar might actually strengthen. Listen to me, on that day, I don't want you to go and start selling dollar. In fact, do not be placing trade on the day of news release. Why? Because the statement is what you can't predict. The statement might come out positive or might come out negative. If the statement come out positive, dollar will be bullish for the short term. If it comes out negative, dollar will be bearish. So that is why on days of news events, you cannot predict what the Fed will say. No trader on earth, don't allow anybody to deceive you. No trader on earth can predict what the Feds will say. Do you understand? Even investors can't predict what the Fed will say. So that is why we trade based on rumors, not the actual news release. So on the day of the actual news release, is best to stay out, right? So that is very, very important. Another important news is the GDP, right, which is on Friday 8 a.m., which will tell us how the economy is doing for the British pound. With that being said, let us look at analysis for this week. Remember, it's December period. Now, first thing I want to let you all know that December period has a very, very weird price action, a time in which when we will not really be seeing much volatility in the market. A lot of traders will be going for festive period, you understand? But first thing first, let me talk about gold. Whenever we are expecting a rate cut on dollar, gold is going to be bullish. Why? Because gold is a risk-off currency, and dollar seeing a rate cut, it just simply shows that, oh, gold people investors to put their money on gold. So this is what gold should look like, if I'm not mistaken. If this is a valid key level, I'm not really sure, but you know how you trade your gold. Just know that gold is going to be bullish for a short term. You understand? Not really for a long period of time, for a short term. So the JPY, let us look at the Japanese yen. The Japanese yen is still very much looking bearish, but it's picking up strength. You can see it's picking up strength in the 4 hours time frame, and it's a very, very bullish strength. So if this continues, we can say maybe it might keep up all the way to the top here. So if this continues and we can see all the way to the top here, break this level, we can see a rise all the way to this top, because JPY currently is strong, and I don't see any reason why JPY will be weak, because everything is still pointing at a rate hike on JPY. You understand? So let us look at the DXY. DXY is actually heading to a key level, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go back to our candles. You understand? It's heading to a key level, if I'm not mistaken. And if the rates decision comes out, and let's say the statements become positive, dollar might head all the way down here and give you a little bit of move to the top side. It doesn't mean dollar might be bullish. Dollar might still be bearish. Why? Because let me give you a very important information. Now they're about to change the Fed chairman, right? You know the Fed chairman is Powell, right? Chairman Powell. They're about to change the Fed chairman. Now Trump is planning on choosing someone who is against rate hike for dollar and who solely supports rate cuts. So this is going to make dollar bearish. If they choose that new person, dollar will be bearish for a long time. So we might actually still see a little bit of downward movement to the downside, in the long term. But for the short term, if the statement come out, it might make dollar bullish. I'm just saying. But my take, long term, possibility of dollar, it might be bearish, because based on this news, is already bearish. You understand? If the statement comes out positive, it might push dollar to the top, but that doesn't mean dollar will still pick up strength for a long period of time. So that is just simply it. We don't know what will happen yet until the news is being released, until the new chairman is on seat, and we know how dollar is going to react. So let us look at currencies and look at how we can place trade with this. For Euro USD, for those who are looking to buy Euro USD, I feel like market has already priced in based on rumor. But if you want to still take the risks, I've already made profit from this trade. I don't see myself taking any trade again. This is a good, zone, but I would say you should wait for a confirmation. Market has already priced into this news. If market should come back here, possibly it's going to be on Tuesday. On Wednesday, you don't want to be on this trade. Why? Because you don't know what will happen. Markets might, dump a bit based on the fact that dollar might see a little bit of strength. You understand? Or the market might hike up to the top a bit. You understand? So it's a very, very risky zone to trade at, but still possible. Technically, it looks very, very beautiful. Why? Because it's respecting the trend. If you draw the trend, technically it's respecting the trend. So it looks very, very beautiful, but still very careful, because the news is very volatile. It's the last rate cut or rate decision for this year. So USD JPY is still, I say JPY is still strong. So if USD JPY retrace all the way to the top, I might be finding entry at this zone. You understand? If it retrace all the way back here, I might be finding entry to keep selling, maybe all the way back to this key level. You understand? So that is just simply it, because the sell pressure is still valid. But market might want to sweep liquidity a bit. You understand? Market might want to sweep all this liquidity at the top here a bit before selling. Who knows? But I will always wait for a confirmation, and I will give the signal to my VIP signal members. That one is for sure. So CAD JPY, I told you we're convergence on CAD. This is already looking like a bullish trend, even though JPY is strong. So market might retrace a bit, but we also have statement on CAD, so we don't know if market will keep pushing to the top. So be very careful if you are taking trades on this pair. For AUD JPY looks pretty much bullish as well. I won't really play with this. I won't really, invest in this particular currency. For the USD CHF looks beautiful. It looking like, it wants to come and sweep this liquidity here so that it will keep selling. And if we're looking at this, we can see there is a beautiful order block at this level. So if market should sweep that liquidity and return all the way back down, that is beautiful sell. That's a beautiful selling zone, a very, very beautiful selling zone. You understand? If it sweeps it, you can keep selling. But to me, I've already priced in with the news. I've already made profits with this news. I don't see myself taking any trade on this zone. Though if it works with my strategy, I see reasons to take it, I'll send the signal to my signal channel. You understand? There's nothing to be scared about. So AUD USD, like I said, wait for a retracement to this key level is still a neutral. So after it gets here, I will still wait for a confirmation for a buy zone before I take the trade. Euro AUD is strong, like I said, so Euro AUD will keep selling. You get Euro AUD keep selling, but I don't know if it will come back to this key level or just keep selling drastically. So I don't really see any entry on this until the week starts. Why Euro JPY? Yeah, Euro JPY looks like is at a key level, and possibility of a sell is still there. Possibility of a sell is still very, very there. You understand? If market should come all the way back down here, it still shows possibility of a sell. So if I see my entry model, my pattern, I will send the signal to the signal team. So with that being said, that is all for this fundamental update. I hope you understood everything perfectly. In case you have any question, do well to ask me. Make sure to drop a comment and make sure to subscribe to the channel, because I drop this every single weekend. That's just your way of supporting the team. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this. Have a lovely trading week ahead.